Hello YouTubers, Victorinox fan here with another video. Let's give you a nice look at this. Mid-techs are an interesting breed of pocket knife, or just knife in general. They're kind of that bridge between you go to the full custom realm of $500+, and they are a step up in what you get in your regular production grade stuff. Now mid-techs need to offer you something. These are not knives that you're gonna just get purely because they're functional, because let's face it, in the world full of... you can't just say you bought a $400 knife purely because it's functional. Right? We all know that's bullshit. You're buying it because it offers you something more. It's gonna offer you obviously great materials, good fit and finish, customer service from a maker. It's gonna give you that custom feel without having to go full out custom. Now, the two main mid-tech, kings right now I still think are Chris Reeve, the Sebenza, which, customer service, super high fit and finish, super high quality, great tolerances, or Strider, bulletproof warranty, beefy knife, great materials, just a tough blade. And these two are kind of like, the two most popular mid-tech brands, Strider and Chris Reeve. But there's a lot of new, makers kind of dabbling in the mid-tech line, giving some of their unique designs to a bit of a slight production twist so you can get your hands on them without having to blow over $500. This is Tim Galyean's take. Now, Tim Galyean works now at Kershaw again. He started out his knife-making career at Kershaw under the tutelage of Ken Onion, and he decided to branch away and start making custom knives. And I guess part of, he also decided to start making mid-tech knives. This was the last one he made, Turbulence. Now, first thing I want to say right off the bat, he's not making any more of these. At least he says he's going to continue the line. He hasn't made any mid-tech since like last December, so just want to keep it realistic. He kind of dropped off for a while. He's back now working at Kershaw, and he says he's going to continue the line, but there's no estimated time frame for his next model, which is supposed to be the drone. So I'm not going to say he's not going to give you customer service, but just letting you know that he's kind of hard to get to from what I've heard, just what I've heard. But there's not been really any sign of, him making any more of these. So, availability of these will be interesting. But, let's talk about the actual knife itself. So, some specs. 3.5-inch blade, CPM 154, stonewashed. About 3.8 or 3.7 millimeters thick, like 0.15 inches. You've got a... was it? Let me just double check, I wrote it down. It is about, the total size of this entire knife is about 8 1/4, so the rest is your handle. The weight of this is now 4.2 to 4.3 ounces, so it's lighter than an SNG. First off, right off the bat, you're gonna look at this and say, "Wow, that's kind of funky," and that's the kind of point when you go, it's a different looking knife, which is why I was really drawn to it aesthetically. I think in terms of mid-techs, it just really stood out. Now, how am I going to review this knife? I'm going to review a few different things. I'm going to go over some of the specs in terms of geometry, the scientific stuff, the handles. Then I'm going to go over fit and finish. And yeah, we'll kind of just go over that. So, I mentioned that this is a titanium, well, I should mention this is a 6AL4V titanium handle. Frame lock. I'll go over the frame lock geometry later. It is a very ergonomic style handle. Thin. Very thin, because the titanium is about the same thickness as a small Sebenza. It's thinner than the SNG titanium. The cutout, however, is about the same thickness, if not a little thicker, so it definitely is very stiff. I don't think it's weaker than the SNG lock. It is a thinner handle, but the curve fits very nicely in your hand, giving you a full fingered grip. Quite comfortable. Your thumb rests right on top. Good, comfortable handle. No major hot spots that I can think of. I mean, if you put a hammer grip, yeah, but any curved handle like that, you put a hammer grip on, you're going to get a hot spot around your pinky. Saber grip, not at all. very comfortable. Balance, red band the choil, very good balance. It's thinner, so it's harder to do that, hence I have to wrap my finger, but the balance is right where the finger is supposed to be. You have a interesting CNC'd pattern on here. Now, that's the kind of thing with mid-techs. The handle and the blades are CNC. The finishing and all that and the sharpening is all done by hand. But this is a CNC texture. It gives you very aggressive texture, surprisingly, and the coating is PVD, if I'm not mistaken. Super durable, considering there's only a little bit of wear up top, and a little bit of wear where, you know, see if I can show you with this lighting, where it meets, where the stop pin hits at the base of the titanium. It's holding up really, really well as a finish, so I can't complain. Mentioned it, it's got a titanium frame lock, cut out on the outside, and the lockup is stupid tight. One of the absolute tightest knives I own. Like, it's up there, the tightest knives. It just feels tighter than pretty much anything else I own. So, the geometry is a bit more flat, so the way the lock contact is not like the Strider per se, where it's a really high angle to give you what they call a shit vent to let stuff flow through. More of it contacts the base of the blade, like closer to the Sabenza. Lockup, however, there is no lock rock, and there is zero play, so I have complete faith in this lockup. It's amazing. The blade is 3.5 inches of stonewash CPM 154. Beautiful. This is, without a doubt, the top of my cutting knives. And I'm not saying that to be, you know, I seem to give a lot of good praise for all my knives, but there is some truth to that. Okay, it's a windy day outside, but this knife, keep in mind it's really windy, so it's hard to keep, the paper is a, this knife slices as well as any Spyderco I've ever handled, if not better than some. The geometry on this is just unbelievable, especially for a 3.8 millimeter thickness blade. Dwayne Dwyer said 3 things that are scientifically measurable in what a good knife is. You've got material, so good blade steel. Exploitation of materials, so good heat treat, 61 to 62, and if I'm not, no, 60 to 61. If I'm not mistaken, he does the full, you know, cryo quenching and all that for these, if I remember correctly. And then geometry. So the blade geometry comes down nice and thin, so it slices very well, but still leaves you enough throughout the blade to cut. And the edge geometry is the best I've received out of box, really. So it gives you that Spyderco relief edge, but he polishes it more when he sends it out. Keep in mind, this is a $400 knife, so you'd expect that. So, was it sharp out of box? Absolutely. Does it retain it? Yeah. I'm gonna get to the action in a while, don't worry. So, as you probably, it's got some jimp in here that works well. The blade is fantastically, it's a thin slicer grind, but it is easily the best slicing knife. Easily the best slicing knife that I own. So, no problems with that. Should we talk about the flipper? Yeah, let's talk about the flipper. It's a flipper knife. IKBS. And easily considered by most to be the best flipper that Tim Galyean designed. In fact, when Tim even sold his custom turbulences, he said this was the best flipping knife he had made. And this just... I've flipped this by RJ Martin's, and it holds its own pretty well. This is insanely fast. Like, I can just do this and hardly any pressure if it comes right out. It just flies out, and it's got kick when it flies in. So I saw Darkchild 57 showing its Kershaw tilt. Great looking knife. He compared it to IKBS of the CRKT Ripple. Trust me, not all IKBS flippers are the same. This will go head to head with any KVT technology or any other flipper technology. The fastest flippers I'll still say are RJ Martin's roller thrust bearings, but honestly, this is something. Now, It's got a super slick, movement. But here's what I love about it. This is the strongest detent in my entire collection. It's stupidly strong. These thumb studs are not practical. Like, I can't do it. Okay, I can do it now, but I mean, can you flip it with your thumb? Yeah. It will indent your thumb. It's not fun. It's not designed to be used as a... You can. It's not fun. And I've got strider thumb, so I can do it, but if you don't, it will hurt like a bitch. This is a flipper knife. The thumb studs are like the striders and set are stop pins, so these act as a stop pin when you close the blade, and as you open the blade, it connects, contacts there. It provides a solid point of contact. They're big, beefy. Some lovely detail. I'll get to the fit and finish in a bit. So, flipper's amazing, and the detent is just, it's stronger than my Sebenza. Now, one thing I'll note in the fit and finish is it's got, the detent has got a little bit of play like this, but it doesn't overcome it easy, so it's not going to attribute to a weaker detent. In fact, for all I know, this could be intentional. Yeah, the detent's fantastic. It's got a kind of a, it's got that funky clip. Kershaw and Tim Galyean like weird clips, so I don't mind it on this one because it goes with the lines of the knife, but I know some people who love this knife, they're not crazy about the clip. Titanium, it is effective though. It's titanium, it's got a lot of spring in it, and it's not too bulgy, so it'll fit. It goes with the lines of the knife, so manageable. So I've talked about the handle, I've talked about the flipper, IKBS, which is, for those who don't know, they mill out around the pivot area a small section to fit in small ball bearings, and this allows you very slick action instead of washers. Now, yeah, we talked about the blade stock, I talked about the edge geometry. What do I want to talk about? Fit and finish. So this is what you're going to get with Tim Galyean's knives. They are just so exceptionally well built in terms of tolerances. IKBS allows stupidly tight tolerances, so as you can tell, there is no gap between, there's hardly any gap between the blade and the titanium frame. Let's look at the strider. You've got more of a gap between. I think even the Chris Reeves, you've got a bit more of a gap, just by nature of washers, but hardly more than, this is easily the tightest in terms of width. You can't make this knife any thinner. Like, there's no wasted space between the blade and the handle because of the IKBS system. This allows you for a knife that will not move side to side because there's no room to. Now, I mentioned in terms of fit and finish, it's got a little bit of that, and that's the only fit and finish flaw I can give it. Like, you can do that, but you cannot stick the blade out, whereas on others you can. So, the detent's as strong as my Sebenza. Actually, I think it's stronger than my Sebenza. It really is. So, that's the only fit and finish problem. Even the finish is on the titanium is very durable. They've got a couple really neat things here. So, notice how there are 4 standoffs, only 2 sets of screws. These 2 in between are what you call floating standoff, floating pins. So, tiny milled out sections, and the only thing holding together is the tight tolerances and the pressure. That's what holds the standoffs in place. Blade is center, as you can tell. Everything is contoured nicely. The pivot is domed. It's got a lovely little finish to it. Torx construction all around. High quality screws. And even little things like the detailing, the CNC on the thumb studs. The jimping is very meticulously done. Fit and finish on this blade is really high. So that's what you're getting with this. You're getting some custom quality stuff. Everybody I've shown this to has been a fan of the knife. Unless you really hate Wharncliffe blades, you're gonna like everyone's admitted that this is a very, very nice flipping knife, very nice looking knife. The blade shape, as I forgot to mention, was a modified Wharncliffe, so you got the swoop down, but you got some belly. That belly makes it modified. I like it because it's easier for some utility stuff. Great kitchen knife. Overall, I'm not going to drag this review out any longer, but I absolutely adore this knife. It's a definite good quality piece in my collection. I've used it, I will use it, but I do use it lightly. I've tested it on other stuff. I've tested it on plastic and wood, but this is not the knife I always reach to go bang on. because, well, it's a knife that's hard to get now. It retailed for about $400. My opinion, if you get it for like under $400, like you know on the secondhand market, and you want some mid-techs, it's definitely an option to go for. But I'm not going to push it too hard for the sole reason the fact that they're not made anymore, and Tim Galyean is a harder fellow to contact apparently. So definitely give these a look, and if you find one for a good deal, go for it, because I think you're getting an incredibly well-built folder. Hope this video was useful for you guys, hope you enjoyed it, and hope this was some good knife porn. Peace out folks, have a good one, see you around.